Hello, I am Lucifer from K177. I had hoped to be sharing this video about KvK with our merged kingdom today, but alas, that was me being a bit too optimistic on how fast KOA would progress with the merger. Instead, I'll be sharing some highlights from our own KvK in K177. Usually we just defend our own throne. As we're a sparsely populated kingdom, we lack the numbers to properly invade others. But after watching some of the kingdoms in our Covenant fight, we got a bit inspired. So this KvK we decided to go out and do a little fighting of our own, to hone our skills for when we merge and get enough active players to properly invade other kingdoms again. Who am I kidding? We mostly did it because it's fun. If you've seen my introduction of K177, you'll know our two top players are Hula and Lawless respectively. Hula usually sits on our throne at home, while Lawless, and in the good old days a player named Umadbro and myself, would go out and invade other kingdoms. My stats being what they are nowadays, I'm staying clear of the forest, and relying on mega garrison and mega rallies of Hula and Lawless to be useful. We usually fill up the throne with T13s and T12s for the critical march ability, leaving players or farms with lower tier troops in towers. This has a twofold purpose. 1. We're not populous enough to actually fill up and mega garrison all the towers properly, but we still want to have something on the towers. Secondly, opportunists looking for a few easy kills or individual points won't bother with 100 T10 cavalry in a tower, and even if they do, it's easy for us to refill the towers without any real losses. If we get a few trolls that want to try and hold our towers, Lawless or NY teleports into the forest to deal with the problem. This typically results in the trolls tucking their tails and running. While they had to send from the edge of the forest, our people can safely operate inside it, and thus don't have to waste speed-ups all the time to intercept trolls. There's advantages and disadvantages to this strategy, but it's really born out of necessity rather than choice. We'll get to experiment more with this in the future when we have the manpower to try different tactics and find out what suits us best after the merger. We're not in the upper echelons of KvK, and we rarely, if ever, get matched with some of the top players in the game. So our tactics might not be useful for you, depending on what your KvK opponents look like. Let's see what happens when we go say hello to K401. Their towers are nice and full of troops, they've properly mega garrisoned them, and all the troops are neatly lined up for the slaughter. We're steadily making our way around each tower in turn, killing as we go. We've got them beaten on stats, but we won't have a chance of actually holding their throne with our current numbers. So we smash the North Tower first, which is mega garrisoned by Roy from SBB in K401. Sorry Roy, nothing personal. They did not get the hero talent life preserver up, as you can see from the losses to wounded ratio. As is true with all four towers, they got their ducks in a row and there's only T12 or T11 troops for the critical march ability to trigger. We also made sure to only send 6 troop types to make sure we matched their critical march with one of our own, but we have T13 and T12 giving us a considerable advantage. On the South Tower, the Butcher's build truly was high for K401. As you can see from the battle report, Bass from SBB, who's the leader of the mega garrisoning, either forgot or omitted to send his heroes. This was a fatal mistake, and they ended up having 0 survivors out of the 2.6 million troops stationed there. Our own losses were a mere tenth of theirs. While I revel in the carnage, I will say I also applaud their bravery in not fleeing from a fight just because it's going south. Fleeing might have been the smart choice, but this was the entertaining one. I hope you managed to find some fun in the heat of the battle too. I hope you'll forgive me at this point if I just show the remaining 2 battle reports quickly. The East Tower was guarded by Cassius. It was a solid hit with lots of dead. Again, they bravely just took the rally without flinching. You'd think at this point they'd had enough. I salute your bravery and fighting spirit K401. The West Tower was our least successful rally. At this point Life Preserver had also run out for quite a few of us, which we can either attribute to poor luck or poor timing on our part. Still, we got a successful hit out of it, and thus managed to clear all their 4 towers with 1 mega rally per tower. As you'll see with K445, they actually opt for what I would call the smart strategy. Instead of meeting us head to head, they simply recall their troops. We are only here for kills, and if they've been paying attention to their neighboring kingdom when we cleared their towers as you saw earlier, they ought to know that. At this point we simply stop our little incursion. We're not here to take their throne after all, so we decide to call it a day instead of wasting gold and speed-ups on hitting empty air. While it's a smart strategy, it makes for poor entertainment. Later on in the event, K401 decides to invade K445 and successfully throws them off their throne. Knowing that K401 is up for taking a beating or two, we try another mega rally. Unfortunately, this time they've taken a page out of K445's playbook and decide to recall instead of taking the hit. This time it's Hula leading the rally, and I have no doubt we'd have cleared our target if they'd taken it. So while I can regret the lack of entertainment, I can't fault the logic of their choice. Especially as they'd sent a wrong march and thus wouldn't have gotten the benefits of Undying Oath, or a critical march as we like to call it. We stayed and harassed K401 for their stay, and after a very impressive display from K445 who finally managed to dislodge them from their throne by sending 2 mega rallies at once, got to keep it. That's the end of the story for K177 and our battles. As last time I peeked a bit at the other kingdoms in our covenant during this KvK, and as is usual for them K646 was happily invading their neighboring kingdoms. For a moment I was worried they'd bitten off more than they could chew, as K457 and K141 ganged up on them. It would only prove enough to minimize K646's victory. Instead of claiming both kingdoms they had to be content with claiming K457. Not without a fight though, but knowing our friends in K646 that only made their KvK all the more entertaining for them. K631 also got to see some action defending their throne, but managed to keep it. Unfortunately I didn't catch any good moments to record from their event, as I was preoccupied invading other kingdoms, but I did catch a few glimpses of their battles. I trust they had fun and will share in our chat rooms if they have any noteworthy battles. Hopefully soon we'll get to fight alongside each other. I couldn't help chuckling at this motto. I'd love to hear the story behind why Hero was forced to sit in their forest with an apology for a motto. If that isn't a tale worth repeating, I don't know what is. Good job K631. K455 unfortunately did not take their throne this time. Hopefully we'll soon merge so we can help each other keep our throne from invaders, and invade other kingdoms, with the full strength of our entire covenant behind us. Any day now K646, K631 and K455. I'm looking forward to fighting alongside you. Just as a note regarding my latest video series about farms, it sounds like I might be able to continue that series without any changes. Newly merged kingdoms are again able to buy resources at the Undead Trader and Spire loot. However, I wouldn't celebrate yet. This might just be a temporary measure to not penalize beta testers. Koa wrote in the System Mail Kingdom Merger Announcement, Phase 6, in Point 8, after the kingdom merger, the Undead Trader's goods will be uniformly readjusted uniformly. Lords can see changes through the feature. Considering the fact that kingdoms of 700 plus have never been able to buy resource items in the Undead Trader, I can't see what other change they might be referring to in their system message. And until they make an official announcement, I'm going to assume it's a temporary measure and continue buying all the resource items I possibly can. I advise you to do the same. Please consider upvoting this suggestion on Discord's official forum, urging the developers to make an announcement on what they're planning. You can find a link in the description of this video. Kind regards. Lucifer, the morning star.